Syrah, aka Shiraz, is one of the greatest red wine grapes. It's propagated all over the world where it creates rich, intense, age-worthy reds to ones that are more plush, fruity, easygoing. And it can even be a blending grape. Depending on the source, it's either the 5th or the 6th most widely planted grape variety in the world. But for some reason, it really doesn't have the cachet with consumers like Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, Pinot Noir. Syrah is such a unique grape. It can be fruity, it can be leathery, it can be earthy, it can be peppery, and everything in between. Its home is the Northern Rhône in France, although for a time there was actually a debate that it might be from Shiraz, Persia, which is modern-day Iran. There's also a legend that it might have come from Syracuse in Sicily. Awesome town if you ever get a chance to go there. The South Africans and the Aussies call it Shiraz. It was brought to Australia in the early 1800s by James Busby. Australia made it popular with the plush, easy-drinking, fruity styles. However, it was first noted as Shiraz in South Africa. Makes sense because wine grapes were introduced to South Africa in the 17th century, almost 200 years before Shiraz made it to Australia. I found that fun fact in the great late Paul Lukasz's book, Inventing Wine. One time I was at a wine writers conference symposium in Meadowood at Napa Valley, and the question came up of where the name Shiraz was actually originated, and my team won because I picked South Africa. I have 10 different Syrah/Shirazes from all over the world. Should be great wines on paper, ranging everywhere from 28 bucks all the way to $110 and everything in between. I often talk about quality, price, and wine, especially the $25 to $50 range. That's where you're going to start to see great increases in quality. When you start going over $50 to hundreds of dollars, sometimes you get diminishing returns on quality, so price doesn't always matter when you get to a certain point. It's taken me almost a year to get all these samples to put this video together, going back and forth with producers, importers, distributors, but phew, I'm finally going to taste it. One sad note is I don't have a Syrah from Washington State. Washington State produces great Syrahs. I was in talks with the producer. We're going to put one in, but logistics, it just couldn't happen. So let's see how these wines taste. I'm ready to taste some great wines, tasting out of my Riedel 002 red wine glass. This is a fantastic wine glass. It's shaped almost like Riedel's Syrah glass, so I think it should work great. I'll leave a link in the description box below. I'm gonna taste one by one and reveal them. Fair enough? I wanna try to make this more friendly to your line of sight, so we're gonna start this way and eventually move over to your right. Let's get it. Wine one is in between. I wonder if it's like more of a New World style of Syrah. It's in between the Syrah Shiraz flavors. What I mean by that, it goes a little bit more to the red plum, red raspberry. I guess there's some blackberry type of note coming on. There's violets. I definitely get that. There's a little bit of pepperiness, some like herbal type notes. Smells good. It has a little bit of green, not like Cabernet Franc green, but just a tad, something I like. Let's give it a taste here. Oh, that is elegant. This has got enough fruit to draw into a lot of people. I don't think it's an Australian Shiraz. It's more Syrah. There's chewy tannins, but it's not too chewy. This is complex. It's got some nice sandy, fine-grained tannins. I mean, this is high quality stuff. Maybe, like, my one small critique is I'd like a little bit more intensity. Again, these wines are all current releases, so they're a little bit young. By the taste of the tannin, there is wood in this, but not too much. Fine-grained. Syrah wines can be pretty full-bodied and rich and big. This is not too big, but it is a full-bodied wine. It's really good to start. I'm gonna go 93 points on it. I think it's very good. Let's take a look. Take a look here. I can feel it's not a screw cap. This is a very good wine. This is the Clos Hommage Reyneke Reserve from Paso Robles, California. 96% Syrah, 2% Grenache, 2% Viognier, 120 bucks. Like I said, I could tell this was high quality. In between the Syrah Shiraz type feel, 93 points. This is a wine that can age. 2020, it's already drinking pretty nice. I know that this is made by a Frenchman that settled down in Paso Robles, California. I actually met him and that Nantucket Wine Fair. We were getting on a ferry to go back to the mainland Massachusetts, and we just caught up a conversation. This is a well-respected winery, and he said, let me send you some wine so you can taste them. They don't disappoint. That's a good wine. Let's move on. That was a good start. That was really in between like a riper Shiraz style, but it geared more towards a Syrah style of wine. Really well done. Let's move on to two. Two is definitely fruitier. It is really fruity. I get a lot of red plum here. Red cherry, red raspberry, maybe just a ton of, a little earthiness. This seems to me more Shiraz-y-like, but not too tutti fruity, not candied. Silky mouthfeel. Got a little stinky tobacco note on the back end. I'm not a smoker, but I love that subtle cigarness, the little tobacco flavors you get in some high quality reds, especially when they're aged in the barrel. That's the thing about Shiraz. Syrah, I don't like oak in red wines. I don't like overtly oaky flavors, but Syrah Shiraz, it goes together well because it makes the wine a little more peppery, meaty. One time a well-respected winemaker told me Syrah eats new oak for breakfast. Fruity, good, sandy tannins. This is easy drinking, 92 plus points. I think this is gonna be a crowd, no one. That's good. In this style, 92 plus points. I think it's super enjoyable wine. Let's see if it's the Australian one. It is. I picked out the Australian wine. This is the Henry Drive 2019 Magnus Shiraz. This is their higher end wine. This comes in at 69 bucks. I think this is outstanding. I've had their basic Shiraz. I can't remember. This is much better. More length. It's not too tutti fruity. It's just excellent. This comes in from McLaren Vale, South Australia. A lot of old vine Grenache. Shiraz down there sometimes is on its own rootstock. I think that is an outstanding wine in that style. Both the first two wines, I might even been a little bit conservative. I thought they were pretty darn good. Drastically different styles as we see. 3 has a lot more oak than the other ones, but it's not chocolatey. Dense oak, mahogany even, black cherry. A little bit of pepper, not as intense as the first two. Oh, it's spicy, peppery on the back end. The first wine, the Clos is a wine that's for more connoisseurs, maybe more advanced palate. This one is for people like anybody. You're gonna bring this to any kind of dinner party, people are gonna like it, but it has complexity on the back end. There's a spike of intensity, has the oaky flavors up front, dark fruit. I think it's delicious. I would love to have this with a grilled T-bone. I think it's excellent, 92 points. I think it's a very good wine. In this style, I like the previous one a little bit better, but I think this is very good. Wow. From Golan Heights Winery, this is the Yarden Syrah 2019, 35 bucks. Gave it 92 points. I've never tasted this wine before. Golan Heights is technically an Israeli wine. I really like this winery, even though they're doing big scale production, you can actually find these wines. And I think this is friendly. I think this is delicious. 2019 already has a little age, doesn't even taste aged. So, wow, we got America, Australia, Israel so far. Let's move on. Wine number 4. These are all these wines are about similar quality. Nothing yet out of the first 4 has blown one of them out of the water. I think the Clos so far was the best wine. This definitely has a touch of violet. I want a little bit more fruit. There is like a blackberry type component. A little bit of mocha, but it's not an oaky wine. It's a little bit shy right now. It kind of smells like the Clos, just not as intense. On the palate, everything is balanced. Nothing sticks out. The acidity, the fruit, it's not too tannic. It's just a nicely balanced wine. It's delicious. I don't even know, I can't even tell where this is from. To me, 91 plus points. I think it's very good. I think the other ones offer a little bit more complexity. Let's take a look here. This is the Markus Zeitlos. This is from Lodi, California. This is 2019, comes in at 39 bucks. This is 77% Syrah, 12% Cinsault, 11% Petite Syrah. So in America, it could be labeled as a Syrah because in America, if the wine is 75% of a grape, you can label it as a varietal wine. I've been impressed with this producer. Lodi, California is a region that's known for a lot of bulk wine, although there's some high quality producers there. This wasn't too jammy, too big, but it was more on the fruity side. Wasn't expressing itself maybe as much as the Clos, but I think it's really good quality. California producers tell me that it's a little more difficult to sell Syrah, and it's unfortunate. You get some great Syrah-based wines in California, Washington State. If they were Cabernet, they would be 2 to 3 times more pricey. Ooh, 5 is Syrah-y. I get like this wild savage note. Peppery. This is like green bell pepper, a little bit of leather. It's got like purple fruit, like it's got a grapey, a plum type flavor. Black cherry, a lot of pepper, and more like rawhide leather, not well-worn leather. Leather, like when you go into a leather shop brand new, that's what you get here. Complex wine. On the palate, it's subtle. It's not overly fruity. This right now, it's a little tight where it's not showing all of everything. It's almost like somebody that's in great shape, but that's maybe a little bit covered up. I'm not referring to myself because I need to lose a few pounds, but you can tell that everything's there. It's just not showing its best. I still think it's excellent. I can see underneath. It's almost like I have an X-ray vision. I think this is 92 plus points. This is in between a Syrah Shirazi style, kind of like the Clos, 92 points. I think this is good. I recommend buying it. From South Africa, this is the Reyneke Reserve 2020. This is Biodynamic Syrah, $45 from South Africa. They also make just a basic Syrah, which is like half the price. It's a very good wine. This is the first time I've ever tasted their higher end wine. I think this is a wine that can age. It's just really, really nice. This is a great start so far. Let's move on. Had some serious wines here. Number 6. Whoa, 6? 6 is a little bit funky. It smells like it has a tad bit of age on it. Wow, this is extremely earthy. Basementy, not like a corked wine, but basementy kinda. Black fruit, dried plums, tons of leather, just a little bit of funk. This is I think this is the most aged out of all these wines. Nice. On the palate, it's spicy, it's chocolatey. I want a little bit more pop, but I think it's a very, very good example of an aged Syrah, what an aged Syrah can do. Not the greatest Syrah in the world, but I think it's really darn good. I'm a hardcore 92 points. You're gonna want this type of funky style of wine. I think it has age on it. Wow, I did not know. This is the Hide Syrah 2018 from Tuscany. $55. Costa Toscana Syrah. This producer does great Bordeaux blends. Syrah does exceptional in Tuscany. There's even an appellation called Cortona Syrah, which is in the southern end of Tuscany. I think this is fantastic. 2018 has some age on it, just a touch of funkiness. And usually Syrah from Tuscany has this tanginess because Italians like acidity to match it with the tomato-based foods, and I did not pick it up there. Oh, sorry, the name of the wine is Hide. It's from the winery Bulichella. Oh, so 7. I used to work in the greenhouse at my dad's farm when I was a young kid, and you have that mossy peat smell from the topsoil you use in potted plants. That's what you get in this. There's a touch of wood here. This is where this has oak, but the oak is integrated really well. Bacon fat, chocolate, black fruits, black pepper, black cherry even. Just smells wonderful. Earthy, dirty, a little bit savage, a lot of pepper. On the nose, earthy. On the palate, round, creamy, incredibly spicy. Literally, like there's tons of black pepper in here, like black beef jerky type flavors, lank, licorice type flavors. For me, this is the favorite wine I've tasted so far. I'm 94 points on it. I think it's an exceptional effort. I really like the flavor. Let's take a look here. Wowzers! This is the Borsau Zaris, which is basically a Shiraz backwards by Borsau. This is $25. It's the cheapest wine. This is a cooperative in Spain. Not known for Syrah, known for Garnacha in this area. I've tasted this wine at the estate before, and I don't remember it tasting this good, and that's the power of blind tasting. They call it Zaris, opposite of Shiraz, because the winemaker is Australian, the consulting winemaker. Amazing, because Spain is not known for a lot of great varietal Syrah. A lot of times it's blended in, although I think that Spain contains 10% of the world's Syrah plantings. I think Australia is like 20%, and France is about 35%. $25, that is a steal. I just gave that a super high score. Power blind tasting, one of the cheapest wines. Let's move on. 8 is another one of these aged wines. Got just a tad bit of funk on it. Black olive even. Nice. Black raspberry, dried plums, dried sour plums. When I used to live in Asia, and sometimes I'd go with some of my friends in the Chinese medical shops, you get this dried plum and herbal type of flavor, and that's what I get here. A touch of meatiness. I think I have a couple of aged wines. This is the most aged by far. Wow. A tad funky on the nose, on the palate, just tons of rich, intense dark fruit flavors. Got a touch of tannin that grips all over. It smelled a little bit mature, aged on the nose, but on the glass, it's really bright. I mean, it has a touch of bottle age, but it doesn't smell tired at all. 93 plus points. I think that's a heck of a wine. That's a really, really, really good Syrah age. This is from Croatia. This is the Bibic Basta Bas Crno. Crno means black or red wine, 2015. This comes in at $100. Not a cheap wine. Bibic is one of the more renowned producers in Croatia. I've been to the estate several times. When the late great Anthony Bourdain was alive and did his Coastal Croatia episode, he went to the cellar.
Oh, that's nice. There's no good man or good decision without the good wine. Bibich Winery.
And he got so drunk he passed out on camera. 90% Syrah, 10% Merlot. It's not cheap, but that's really good. Again, that's Croatia, man, making some, you know, it's a country near and dear to my heart, making some wonderful wines. Let's move on. 9, very nice nose. Purple fruits, violets, clean. Blackberry type flavors. Just a touch of pepper, plum. The violets are really come out along with the wood here. Fine grain talons, elegant, complex. This is another wine that's a little bit tight right now. It's not showing its best. I can tell it's super high quality. It's just not expressing and not showing itself the best. And there's the thing about real true Syrah. A lot of it needs time in the bottle, as you saw the Bibich, or if you're doing the Australian style, the Magnus Shiraz from Australia, which actually going back, I think I underscored it a little bit because it's so approachable young. This is not ready to drink now, but I think it's an excellent wine. All the stuffing is good. It's just not showing its best. I'm 92 plus points on it. Let's see what it is. Let's see how it is, shall we? I would have never guessed this is from New Zealand. This is the Smith & Chef Cru Syrah Heritonga 2017, 36 bucks. So it has a touch of age on it. One of the owners, Steve Smith, is an MW, New Zealand, known a lot for Sauvignon Blanc, Pinot Noir, but there's some great Merlots, Bordeaux blends, and Syrah even made in the country. This is from Hawke's Bay, a region that I've been to before. Really a lovely place. I would have never guessed this is from New Zealand. Syrah, Shiraz can sometimes be almost Pinot Noir-esque, especially if you taste some from the Central Coast in California. That's what I would have expected. I would have never have guessed that that is from New Zealand. That's pretty wacky. Let's move on. 10 is Syrah to a T. This is the flavor. When you get really addicted to Syrah, this is the flavor that I want to see or want to smell. Grass, red fruits. This is more red fruit driven. Earth, pepper. The savage note, almost like if you go in the woods and you get a little bit of these weed type flavors. Pepper, super complex. It's not like super earthy or funky though. It's pretty clean. Palate is intense. Now here's the thing. This is also a baby and it's gonna age well, but you can drink it now. This spike of intensity, it's got like this tangerine peel type flavor, which I get in Sangiovese and I get in good Syrah sometimes. Really, I didn't get them in a lot of these. I think for me, so far my favorite wines of the tasting are the Clos Solène, I gave 93. I gave the Borso 94 points. I was impressed with the Bibich. And I think the Henry's Drive, the Australian one, I underscored it actually a little bit. I think it was good, but this is the top wine here. I'm 95 points on it. I think it's outstanding. I mean, just sandy tannins, I'm still tasting it. I think I know what it is. Yeah, this is the St. Cosme Côte Rôtie, one of the great appellations for Syrah in the world. This is $100, 2021 appellations. In the Northern Rhône, you're gonna have Hermitage, Cornas, Côte Rôtie, Saint Joseph, Croz Hermitage. These are some of the most coveted Syrah-based wines in the world, especially Côte Rôtie. To this day, the most memorable red wine I've ever had in my life is a red Hermitage from Chave, which was an exceptional effort. I just didn't realize wine could taste like that. See, Côte Rôtie, sometimes you can blend in a little bit of Viognier. This is 100% Syrah. Actually, it's one of the clones called Syrah, which some people debate if it's a clone or it's a different variety altogether. Exceptional, peppery. I love it. You hold on. It's so funny. These Northern Rhône wines, they taste so much better with age, but I find with improved winemaking, I enjoy a lot of Hermitage, Côte Rôtie, Cornas Young too. So tell me, do you like the grape Syrah, Shiraz? What kind of style do you prefer? Any favorite producers? Drop it in the comments below.